Hey guys, it's Josh from Cardfight Empire here today, bringing you guys my new FutureFight Vanguard series. So basically what this series is going to be about is it's going to be about decks that are coming out in the future of the English format but are not yet out yet. So they're either released in Japan or not even yet released in Japan. And they're just be decks that we'll be covering, and I'll be using Cardfight area to play the decks for you guys, showing you guys some builds and talking about what I think about the deck and whatnot. Today we're going to be talking about the new Crossover Dragon deck. Crossover Dragon is the new Grade 4 for Gear Chronicle. It's a restanding Vanguard, but it requires that your two specific rear guards hit. So at the very beginning, when this card was released, kind of saw it in the anime, and we kind of saw it in the anime and just assumed that it was going to be really, really good. But then we saw the effect, and then I was kind of like, this is kind of iffy. How threatening can these Chronojet dragons be that you can call? Can you make them over 21k? Even if you can make them over 21k, that's not really a huge number to guard for nowadays. So I kind of went into it thinking that Crossover Dragon would never be pulled off, but I was talking to a friend, and he mentioned that when your opponent's at 4 damage and you use Crossover Dragon, it's really threatening because you basically make sure that your opponent has to guard every attack, unless they want to no-guard the Vanguard and hope that you don't get a crit, which is also a thing as well. But basically, we will get into showing you guys the different versions of the deck. I had a couple different versions of the deck. As you can see here, this is the first version. I was running 7 grade 3s. They were 4 Chronojet G and 3 Chronojet Dragon, 4 Lugal. So we're playing a Zodiac Time Beast, a half Zodiac Time Beast version, just because it works better with. I was trying to think of ways to get the Chronojet Dragons up to 21 plus, and basically for that we use Split Pegasus, and once we use 4 Split Pegasus, every Zodiac Time Beast in the front row gets plus 4k. So Chronojet G but not Chronojet original will gain 4k. So if you have a 7k booster, it'll be 22. It's pretty good. I actually only usually flip 3, because you go into Split Pegasus once, and then you can even go into Metallica Phoenix once. With this build, I didn't run Metallica Phoenix, but the other build I did. So yeah, 4 Chronojet G, 3 Chronojet Dragon, 4 Lugal, 4 History Maker, 3 Chrono Beat Buffalo, 4 Mellum Standard, 4 Arlem Standard, 3 Steam Breath, and then I ran a 1 of Jackal, a 1 of Meshkia, just to get that Chronojet, or get the boosters for Chronojet, because you'll have the 7Ks already on the board. Then when you time loop at 0, you get Meshkia, you give 4K to, you place Meshkia behind your Vanguard, you rest, and then you place 4K on one of your 7K boosters, and they'll be 11, making your Chronojet 22, or if it gets plus 4 from Split Pegasus, then it'll be 26, which is, I guess, pretty threatening. Then I have 1 of Tickaway Dragon, pretty standard, Chronojet, TikTok Worker, 6 crit. 2 of these crits, it's not a huge deal, but being changed from Rabbit. I believe they're both Zodiac Time Beasts, so I guess it doesn't matter. But this one looks cooler, in my opinion. Urwater at 1, Gear Cat at 2, 1 Wakey Wakey Worker. Now, Wakey Wakey Worker has kind of a weird interaction with this deck, because you want to be GB3 to use Crossover Dragon, but at the same time, if you have G-Guard in your hand, you could just flip back face down the Split Pegasus and then use Split Pegasus next turn and get more uses out of Split Pegasus. But most of the time, you just want to use it for your G-Guards, because your game's not going to be wearing down that long, and even if it is, flipping down your G-Guards just seems to be more beneficial. So then 2 draws and 4 heals. And then we'll also take a look at the other deck build that I ran. So the other deck build was a lot more like standard new Gear Chronicle. So it is basically like what's popular now, you know. So in this build, we have 4 Chronojet G, 3 original Chronojet, 4 History Maker, 4 Lugar, and then 3 Calibum. Calibum is very standard in the current Gear Chronicle. And that other space, after I tried out the build with Chrono Beat Buffalo, like Chrono Beat Buffalo wasn't putting in that much work because I just called Lugar all the time. So I decided to add 3 Calibums, 3 Steam Breath Standard, 4 Arlem Standard, 4 Mellum Standard, and then the one-ofs, I took out the Jackal because really, for Split Pegasus in this deck, you only want to play a grade 3 from your hand and get it back to the deck for Crossover Dragon in the future, and then call 2 Lugar Orders. You never want to use it on anything else, basically, because it's just like you're not playing a Zodiac Time Beast full deck, so it's not really useful to get like 1 Jackal off of it or something. But I believe you can also, if you have no field, or if you have no field or just Strand on your field, you can still use Split Pegasus and just not choose a target. But also, you have your one-ofs Erningen for the unflip. This deck's pretty counterboss heavy, and sometimes Arlem doesn't get the job done. So Erningen's definitely better in builds where you run Calibum because you can force the unflip. Meshkia, Take Away, Chronodren, TikTok Worker, 6 crit, 4 stands. In this build, I ran 2 Wakey Workers because I really liked it a lot. But I still think that it's like very like even about what I think between Gearcat and Wakey Worker. Sometimes you are really pained that you don't have multiple Gearcats in the deck, like you'll damage deck it or something, just like the same with their water. But 2 sheep and 4 hamsters. Alright, so we'll be getting into the matches now. I think I'm going to play them at 2 times speed. Hopefully that's not too fast. And I'm just going to explain, like, as we go through what the whole deal was with the testings. So let's do load replay. First replay CHB01, GC1, speed 1.5. Okay, cool. So we're in the game. Basically, me and my friend Joe were the ones testing for this. Basically, we're drawing our opening hands. As you can see, my opening hand is quite crappy because I didn't have grade 2. I kind of forget what I was thinking at this particular time, but I'm pretty sure I was just thinking that I needed a grade 2. Thinking I should restart this and play it at 2 times speed. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. So we're going to restart it. Load replay, CBH01, GC1, 3-2. Okay. So, yeah, we're getting our starting hands. Obviously, I had a really crappy hand, just like I said before. Ended up getting 2 grade 3s, 2 Arlems, and a Vainglory. And I believe that this is the build with without the Metallica Phoenix in it. And I also forgot to go over the G zone for the second build, but the only difference is that there's one less split Pegasus and there's a Metallica Phoenix, basically. So yeah, I was supposed to drive check that. My friend forgot to be in battle phase. Then I drew agree to, I wrote it, which was a godsend because I didn't want a G assist. He was playing me with Eradicators, which was really annoying actually because he always like rode this card, or had the like Shatura. So there's like constant on hit pressure with this deck, and I just always let the Vanguard hit because I don't want to throw down a 10k for one to pass. So he would just always destroy my starter. So I never got to use Dran. So Dran wasn't even a factor in the games. It just didn't matter at all. It's kind of like Kagura when they just like use Gatling Claw to destroy Dran, like, or Burnout, like early game. Like it just doesn't exist, basically. But yeah, he's striding now. He decides to go into Zorus. Now that I'm seeing his hand, like I see why he did what he did. I thought that Zorus was going to hit. Fortunately for me, I had a PG in my hand. I try to PG Zorus when I can because I don't like losing cards forever to the bind zone. Although I play the Meta Pulsar Huanglong that lets me get cards back, but it's like still like against Narukami, like I don't want them like just binding two of my cards, getting them ever closer to like the huge Thunderstrike cards. So here I go into Split Pegasus. I Time Leaper Water with Chronojet G, and I use her Water skill. And then I believe I, at this point, use Split Pegasus on Lugor, which is where I decided to make the change that I was talking about from the one Jackal. Because this was the build where I ran the one Jackal, and I'm pretty sure that I just had no targets in my deck left, because I think that I damage checked. Yeah, I damage checked the Jackal. So basically when I damage checked the Jackal, like, things went kind of downhill from there because I just decided to, like, not get anything back, so I just minus myself one. But thankfully I had History Maker and TikTok Worker in my hand to boost it. So all wasn't completely lost, but I ended up going into battle phase here, if I remember correctly, and attacking him with Mellum. First I gave the front row, or just my Vanguard, basically, 5k. So yeah, I ended up attacking Mellum. He damage checks into a draw trigger, which is probably the worst case scenario that could happen. So I attack with Vanguard just to get Mellum, or I get Meshkia back, because I realized that Mellum can't hit anymore. I use her Water, and then I get Meshkia to get an extra card, and also make it that he has to guard it. So he throws on this 5k, I think. Now I attack him 27, and he perfect guards. I get a crit, and then I get a draw, and then I end my turn. Meshkia goes back to the bottom of the deck, get nothing, and then it's his move. So he strides into Finish Blow here. Basically, yeah, Finish Blow was like a big problem just because of like this starter that he runs with it. So this is usually the starter running the new Vanquisher deck, but in the Eradicator deck it's actually really good because you end up having a bunch of cards that have effects like this, like Shuki, that go off when you retire one of your opponent's cards, and then this has like a bunch of crits, and it's just like if you're like me and you don't have a PG in your hand right now, like things get hard because you're really like, oh, this thing has 3 or 4 crit, and I don't have a PG, and it's huge. So it's like, even G-guarding is kind of like a struggle because you know that you're going to have to throw down additional cards with your G-guard. So I just decided to take the first attack. I get a crit. I'm now G-guarding, which I believe that I ended up using Urlu. And I believe that I wanted to put back Dran instead. So I ended up bringing back the Erlu to place there just because area when you move a card from the guard circle to the drop zone, like everything leaves too. So I ended up using, yeah, Erlu for 31 and then, or 46, basically 2 to pass. And then he attacks 22 at 10k guard, and that was that. Then I stride into the next stage, yeah. Pretty much, like, pretty self-explanatory, like, why I went into next stage. He's at 5 damage, and I wanted to crossover, but I really only crossover when my opponent's at 4, because if nothing can hit, like, there's no real point in doing crossover. So it just becomes a vanilla stride. But yeah, I use Chronojet G here to time loop the draw trigger in my hand to Mesh Kia, add 4k to next stage, and then draw a card just so I could get some extra options, which I did. And, more cards are always better. So I believe I was checking right here to make sure that I had no more Luger no more grade 3s that I could time loop Luger into. Which I was deciding if I wanted to attack with Melum or Lugal first. So I ended up attacking the Melum first because there's no way that I can. It's like literally impossible for me to check the Zodiac Time Beast grade 3 and then time loop into a grade 3 because I would have no more grade 3 targets at that time. So right here, I attack him with next stage for 31. He goes 31-36, 2 to pass. I think so he ends up going 3 to pass. Because I think that he thought that Chronojet G was going to be bigger. So yeah, I end up using next stage, discarding cards, and then having the 21k. And I put the crit on Lugar. So I end up attacking with Chronojet G, moving Heart Thump to the Soul, giving 5,000, and then he PGs, of course, and then I check a heal, all power, and then he has to take 2 damage. He does 6 damage heal, but unfortunately has to take 2 damage, and then that's the first game. So that was the first game, ended just like that. It's a pretty quick game. Like, nothing really super interesting. The thing about this new crossover deck is to play it efficiently. You can't really run the Zodiac Time Beast version because Zodiac Time Beasts aren't good yet, really. So you kind of have to run the standard like Chronojet, but splash crossover inside there. So we're going to be loading up the... Oh, so we'll use this time, actually, to go over the G-Zone of the second deck. So we had Crossover Dragon, 2 Gear Groovy, 3 Next Stage, 4 Split Pegasus, 1 Metallica Phoenix, 1 Huanglong, Header Around, Erlu, Rapana, and Arlum. So we ran 1 of each G-Guard because all the G-Guards in Gear Chronicle are really good. Especially Arlum in this deck is really good just because you want to cross over your opponent as well. So that was quite good. Then I just remembered that we didn't do the G-Zone for the first deck either because I pulled it up for a second, and I guess in my head I thought that I had went over it, but I didn't. So load up the first one, and then we'll talk about that one a little more. So that one I ran 1 Crossover, 2 Gear Groovy, 3 Next Stage, 4 Split Pegasus, 1 Panglong, 2 Header Around. So I ran 5 G-Guards in this version, which I forgot Sabreeze in both versions. So there was actually a point where you see in my matches like I could have Sabreezed and got kind of like a really good like slew of attacks off, but I forgot Sabreeze, so ended up not doing it. So right now we're going into the second game. Loading up Cardfight area. And then we're going to not go into the deck. Load replay. GC. GC record 1. 2 times speed. Okay. So currently we are drawing our opening hands. My hand's actually not bad this time. Area has a terrible shuffling algorithm, but surprisingly, we got a decent hand, and decent means that we got a 1, 2, and 3 to ride because we don't want a G assist, obviously. But his hand's actually pretty good, a 2. So he attacks. I damage tech Melum. I ride Buffalo. So this is when I was still using the Buffalo build. I just didn't like it that much because like Buffalo just didn't do anything. Like he was never on the rear guard circle in my test games, like outside of recording or inside of recording. So he was just never there, never useful. So here I kind of like thought about it for a while. If I wanted to just attack 11 or use Heart Thump Worker, because sometimes I Heart Thump Worker and I draw into like a really crappy card, or I draw into a trigger. So thankfully there I drew into a PG, but I still checked no trigger, so it was like, you know, whatever. I would have checked it anyways. Something that didn't make a difference though is I would have damage checked that, or I guess I would have drew that Arlem for turn because I ended up PGing here. Or no, I no guarded this time around. Because yeah, there was only one drain in my drop zone. That's right. Yeah. So I no guarded, and he's at Thunderstrike 1 now. I go into Split Pegasus. I was kind of conflicted, but I think I ended up playing the Chronojet to the board, and using the skill of Split Pegasus. But let's find out. Yeah, there's like a lot of pausing in this game, even at like 2 times speed, because we were talking while we were playing, and I was discussing like, or thinking about my options while I was discussing. So I ended up playing Lugo taking it back because that's not what I wanted to do, and then I ended up playing Chronojet from my hand, using Split Pegasus to put it back to the deck and getting 2 Lugo off of it, I'm pretty sure. Lugo is just like Buffalo with extra abilities, so I don't know why anyone would go for Buffalo over Lugo if you're running a Zodiac Time Beast build. Like, just seems very inefficient. But basically right here, I played the Worker for the boost just because the front row got plus 1,000, so that makes like the attack 16. And then after that I can put Split Pegasus back to face down, which won't affect my other column's powers really. So that was pretty great. I could have done it with a crit, which in hindsight may have been a better thing to do, just because I would have still been GB2 for crossover when I went into GB3, but I checked that heal right there, and I ended up using it to G-Guard later just so I could go into crossover, but yeah, I attack him, and then I time leap using Luger skill, which I actually misplayed because I was supposed to do it like exactly when I checked the 3, as I later learned, but it didn't matter anyways because he checked triggers, so that Chronojet didn't attack or swing at all. So he goes into Finish Blow, plays all his combo pieces as usual, uses Finish Blow skill. After retire 1, he gets 5k in a crit. Then I have to retire another one. and bind it. Then he gets another 5 candy crit. Then he uses Cohen to make me drop, and he drops the crit trigger. He gets no Eradicators, I believe, off of that, but he shuffles the crit back into his deck for free. And then he uses Vianney to shuffle, unflip, and draw a card, which he now I see that he drew into a draw trigger, which is kind of low-key awful. But if I didn't have a PG in my hand right now, like, I'd actually be scared because that that finish blow has 3 crit on it. So thank God I had this, and it kept like getting stand triggers, which was like really irking me because Shatura. Anyone who's fought down a Shatura a bunch of times like just knows how pesky that card is. And when they get stand triggers on it, it's just, very whatever. So here I playing longed instead of Crossover Dragon, just because I wanted to. Well, one, I didn't G guard the previous turn, and two, I did not want him to like VMAX me or something like that. So I actually ended up doing it to pull the cards out of my bind zone. So yeah. So right now, I'm attacking him with Lugal. Don't remember if he guards or not. I want to say that he guarded with. Oh, okay, so he didn't guard. He got a stand trigger. That's the point where we were talking about. He was saying if he gets a trigger, then it's good times, and if he doesn't, it's bad times. Basically, meaning that he needed the trigger. But I got a crit and then nothing else when he 2 to passed. So then I ended up calling the Lugar out of my bind zone and attacking the rear guard for 11. Which he clearly wanted to keep. So he ended up dropping 2 cards, then adding 1 back because he didn't need more than 5 to drop. So he strides into his second finish blow. Thank goodness I have a PG yet again. There were a lot of games like post-recording that we kept playing, and there were a lot of games that like I wouldn't have PGs, and he'd just be like, yeah, 4 crit to your Vanguard, like, I don't know, freaking like 46 or something like that. Retires 4 of my things, and it's just like, okay, whatever. But, yeah, I end up header rounding him using Cat Skill to get plus 5,000 in my Vanguard. And then I end up G-guarding using the new Arlem card. So that put me at 46, I believe, which was 2 to pass. Yeah. Which, in hindsight, I should have no pass, because if I was just going to win anyways, like, there's no need to be, like, I don't know, like, cocky about it. I guess I was really focused on going into crossover here, which I actually shouldn't have done because I didn't realize that he was at 5 damage. But, he actually ended up no guarding the attack anyways, because had he PG'd and I checked a trigger, he would have, or had I checked 2 triggers, he would have had to guard the separate Chronojets. And then if they hit, crossover would have restood. So I guess if he had to take anything, taking crossover Dragon was definitely the move to make. And then we have one final recording that I actually named it inside the record folder as Too Many Feelings, because we were making a lot of jokes about it, and every time that I would need something, I would like just chrono him and I would survive. So I would like check a heal trigger or like top deck a stride fodder. It was pretty funny actually. So the final game, so far my views of this deck are like very skewed, because it's just like I never got crossover dragon off, like even with this game, like I never got it off even once, and like it's such a cool card to have such a weird concept to it. Like I wish that it was any Chronojet that you call or something like that, or like gave a continuous skill to your rear guards. But I guess that would be too broken in Gear Chronicle because they attack way too many times. for you to, I guess, but I guess it would kind of limit it though, because you can't check stand triggers, so you wouldn't be able to attack more than 3 times with like Melon History Maker Melon. But I guess even that, like, that would have fixed Gear Chronicles' whole, like, you need to take a damage and trigger to live their onslaught, or to make their onslaught, like, less hurtful to you. So that would have fixed that, and I guess that would be broken right after they tried to down the clan by hitting it on the ban list. So he crits me. We're going through the early game, pretty standard. I ride to grade 3 finally. I attack him. Check, yeah, Lugor and Calibum, which I thought that I wasn't going to get to use it, but he discards 2 cards of Stride and then goes into Zorus, which I'm just like, as long as he doesn't get one of my cards like that, like, he's not going to get to use Ascetic Draco Kid. So he basically got my card with Zorus, which if I was him, knowing that I got a Calibum, I probably would have just not chosen a unit to retire, and then I would have used Ascetic Draco Kid. But I guess that's a minus all the same. Like, so I guess it doesn't matter. But I ended up going to split Pegasus here. Counterboss 1 for Chronojet to send Shatura back to the bottom of his deck. And then I also ended up playing the Chronojet, and this is where I discovered with this Chronojet that this is the build where I took out Chronobeat Buffalo. So, of course, the moment that I take out Chronobeat Buffalo, like, I only have 1 Lugor in my deck, because 1's in the damage zone, I rode 1, and then 1's in my hand. So it's just like I only got 1 Lugor off that. But it ended up working out fine, because I used Calibum to put his starter back to his deck, and shuffle Unflip with Erningen. And then I think I went into the attack here. 12, so I gained 2k, and then I gained a +1 continuous from Split Pegasus. So I ended up attacking his Vanguard. He guards for 36, 2 to pass. So I get a stand trigger, stand in power, and then I check a grade 3. So I attack 15, only because if I attacked with the other one first and he got a trigger, then I wouldn't be able to hit with my other column. So attack 17, and then I just end my turn there. Which, yeah, he's Stride into Finish Blow. He has Shuki Cohen. I think he plays Shuki Cohen and the crit, I want to say. But I'm not entirely sure, because I don't remember. Okay, yeah, he ends up playing... Okay, so he plays the Limit Break 4 too. I guess just to make sure that Finish Blow is big, but he also just saw me check PG, so I guess that's kind of whatever. But he ends up using Finish Blow, retiring one of my cards, getting 5k and a crit, and then using Cohen to get a PG off of it, which was actually quite solid. Had he not done that, my crossover might have actually, like, hit. But I PG'd here. He checks 3 cards, another PG. Then he attacks me for 22. I G-guard into Urlu, yeah. See, it's weird because in my other decks, like, in my other Gear Chronicle builds, like, I don't use Urlu as much as I do Rapana, Head Around, and we don't have Arlem yet in English format, so I don't use it as much as Head Around and Rapana, but I use it a lot in this deck because you need to return cards to your deck, since you can't just, like, do the infinite recycle combo, really, in this deck. So now I Crossover Dragon, pretty much, like, desperate to get Crossover Dragon off at this point, even though I know he has a PG. So he actually just decides to no guard my attack, which I thought he was going to PG. So it kind of made me sad when I checked 3 non-triggers. And then he got a draw trigger on top of that, so couldn't attack with one of my columns, and then, yeah. And that was that. So then he drew into a Stride Fodder, which he already had the grade 3, so it's not like it was a lucky draw or anything like that. I believe he strides here and goes into Conquest, if I'm not mistaken. Let's find out. I have no clue why it's not moving. We're probably talking about something here. So he strides, goes into Conquest, moves Shuki up, plays Anger Charge, uses Conquest skill to retire my Chronojet. His front row gets plus 5k, and then his Shuki gets plus 3. Then he just decides to attack. So he goes 15. I guard with a 5, I believe it was History Maker. I guard with Meshkia, actually. Because I wanted to keep History Maker for the next turn, that's right. So I guard, and then I PG the Vanguard, and I unflip. And then, yeah, that crit. So then I stride. This is part of the reason why I called it Too Many Feelings, because I, like, paused our game to go get the OST from the freaking Vanguard show for Gear Chronicle and play it there just to, like, tilt him. It's pretty funny. But went into next stage here. I put back one of his cards at the bottom and I unflip with Erningen. And then I end up going to, you know, super strong normal Gear Chronicle BS where attack 13, then I attack for 16, time lifting their water, therefore not really minusing the card. But even so, it was a grade 3, so it's kind of like whatever. I put the stand trigger back in hopes of checking it and being able to use History Maker again. But he PGs, I check a 1 draw trigger. I use next stage skill, I discard 3, and then I end up bringing back original Chronojet. He G-guards, and then he targets Anger Charge with his Dismal. And then I proceed to check 2, and they were nothing, so I attack, and then he G-guards again. And then I end my turn. So then at this point he goes to get the OST for the now key thing to tilt me, but then he doesn't have a way to stride. So he ends up using a Gauntlet Buster skill to counterblast 2 Eradicator cards and make me retire 1 card. And I retired History Maker. And then he attacked me 21. I perfect guarded, dropped a card in, unflipped. And then I believe he checks a crit. Yeah, and nothing else. So I literally just guard. And then when I start up my turn again, I actually like go find the other Chrono OST. And by this point, he was like plenty tilted already. So I just stride and I go into Gear Groovy. Now, what I'm not sure about with Gear Groovy is if you can actually, like, I want to say it falls under the do as much as you can clause of Vanguard for the skills. But if you have 2, like, Gear Dragons face up and they have auto abilities, like, this is an act ability, so you can't choose it. But let's say that, like, you have next stage and nothing else. I wonder if you can, like, Gear Groovy and select, like, next stage, because most activation skills you can still pay the cost even if you can't get the whole ability, if that makes sense. But I end up using next stage here. We're unsure, even though I don't think it would have changed the game, because he G-guards right here, and then I check a crit, put it all rear guard, then I attack him for 25 2 crit, and then that he checks the starter, and it ends the game. So basically, those were the only playtests that we got to do. But I don't know. I feel like against like a stronger deck, like Eradicators is not even really like a tier 1 deck, or maybe even a tier 2 deck at that. But I feel like it was kind of like struggling like against it. Like I felt the struggle playing it. So I definitely would say that like the crossover build probably won't be that good against like the new upcoming bigger threats like Granblue, Night Rose, other Gear Chronicle decks like the Mirror Match, like because they'll probably be playing pure Chronojet, like the efficient version. Even like Luard, Shadow Paladins, like it's just a lot to keep up with, and I don't think that Crossover Dragon can handle the legitimate stress of facing the other decks. But with that being said, guys, that's been our FutureFight Vanguard series for the Chronojet character booster deck. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Comment below. Let me know what kind of decks you guys want to see. After I get through all the main decks that come out of a set, I'd like for you guys to just mention, like, you know, random decks that can be built with that clan booster, and I'll build them and try them out for you guys if you guys want to see my takes on the builds and whatnot. But anyways, like I said, like, comment, subscribe. Check out the ARG Circuit Series, and I'll have them down in the description below. And with that, I'll be signing out. Have a great day, guys. Bye.